Shives.
Hi, everybody.
Now
Welcome
we're
to the
going to be
show.
late.
We're no,
I'm so
we're
sorry.
hi. So we were just having a fight over how
Steve does everything wrong.
I'm the only one who does things right. And but anyway, okay.
Steve can't start one of these shows without making me or Dana cry. If you guys really want to know, he's an abuser. He's an abuser, and this is how we're going to start this happy time Star Trek show. Is with the candid announcement that's
Ruth, finally.
Well, welcome to the Ensign's Log Season 5 live stream, aka Steve Gets Canceled.
You were woke, and now you can't.
I was.
Steve,
that's what it was. I was too woke.
If there's anybody that could cancel you, it's me and Dana.
Oh, you're probably the only two who could do it. Yeah. You're like, oh,
Hi,
I know
everybody.
all kinds of shit about this guy.
Well, this is our standard letting more people join the show, and I don't have any of the stats in front of me, so I have no idea. Steve's the control room kind of guy. And once again, we're leaving our fate in his hands as to be the one that asks the question, that reads the questions out, right, Steve?
That's true. Yes. So part of the as you may have deduced, precious viewers, from the title of the live stream, which is Live Season 5 Q&A. If any of you have questions about the Ensign's Log or anything else you would like to hear us talk about and, argue about or whatever, please throw your questions into the live chat and I will share them with my fellow Ensign's Log stars, and we will, we'll try to sustain this for as long as possible.
And hey, if you guys need help with about asking questions, Steve will give you plenty of help whether you ask for it or not.
I just listen, you should appreciate this, okay, Jason, because you're the one who does all the work on the show. I just want to give you the cleanest, most high quality recording possible.
I appreciate that. And I love you for it. And how do you repay that love? You bite our hands every chance we get.
This is what I get to deal with, guys. This is what I get to deal with.
And you love it. Or you wouldn't come back all the time.
That's true. I do love it. Norman Bookwald asks.
I was talking to Dana.
Oh, my God.
Norman.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Norman Bookwald asks, but would Hefe also get canceled?
Yes. Would Hefe also get canceled? No, because Hefe is a separate person. And apparently is perfect.
And also,
I need a t-shirt with that face you just made. I need a t-shirt.
I will freeze frame it and send that to you.
Thank you.
I'll have to go back and I'll pause at that exact moment.
I want it to at least be your picture when you call me on my cell phone.
Oh, perfect. I will be happy to make that happen for you.
Mm-hmm. Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone who's here.
Sean O'Sullivan says Famke Janssen. I think you mean hot or not, because what you actually typed is not or not.
Hot, definitely.
Yeah, of course.
I vote hot.
I mean, who wouldn't?
She's a beautiful lady. Like, yeah.
We don't know what her politics are. I mean,
that's true. Now,
there's any number of.
Didn't ask about that, and
I
think they're being superficial, which is understandable because we're talking about a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes, that's right. On a purely superficial level, she's a very attractive lady. So
But I don't know anything about her. I always thought, who I always wanted her to play, and this not only exposes my age, but what I used to watch. I always thought she should have played Aeon Flux instead of whoever it was that
was it
played
Charlize Theron?
It was Charlie. Yeah, it was Charlize Theron. I always thought that she would make a better Aeon Flux than Charlize.
I can see that.
Mm.
I can see that. But she was already doing the X-Men movies by that time, wasn't she? When they made the live-action Aeon Flux movie.
But I doubt she commanded
but
as much money as Charlize Theron was at the time. I mean, she's been.
Well, that's true. Yeah, Charlize Theron was a much bigger
name.
Yeah.
I fully expect Famke to wind up in TV at some point, if she hasn't already. Hey, maybe TV on Star Trek. Maybe she'd be on Star Trek.
I mean, it's been a long time since she played that one character in that one TNG episode. They can bring her back as somebody else.
Sure.
I mean,
Sure.
Comet Quest says, I'm really curious to know how you manage your recording schedule for the Ensign's Log. Also, do you love making the Ensign's Log as much as I love listening to it? Aw. The check's in the mail.
Nice.
The check's in the mail, Comet Quest.
Well, there used to be a time when I decided that we would do it at a particular time, but since Dana has joined, we're at the whim of whenever Dana can do it.
Because it's just me. There's two dudes and only one non-dude.
That's right.
And the non-dude sets, and that is not completely true because we do well now. We don't need Jason. Steve and I can just do the show since Jason's dead.
Wow.
Spoilers.
Yeah, it's true. Spoilers for anybody who
hasn't. Spoilers? That's how we ended the season.
Way to the end of season 5.
Oh wait, this is getting confusing. Are they talking about our characters or are they talking about us?
Yeah, as you can see, Jason, the person, is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Or in case you were wondering.
Shut up, Steve. Sorry. I told you not to talk about that.
Sorry.
The voodoo priest is going to get really pissed off.
Just don't name any names.
Yeah. There you go.
No, but the thing is, it's because Dana is very busy and does not prioritize our show.
Well, I mean, it's not important to me.
Jesus, do you want to answer for me too? And then Dana and I could break off in another conversation? No, I want you to answer for me. Do my voice, please. Please do my voice and answer for me. I want to hear what.
Please do my voice. Please do my voice.
Guess what my jokey answer would be, and then. Well, you did it for Dana.
I can't, but because there's not an obvious in with you because I can't say you don't prioritize the show. Well, I guess you prioritize your actual job over the show because we've had to record late a few times because you've actually been at your real job or been traveling for your real job and we haven't been able to do it.
It's hard to do from an airplane or something.
It's hard to record a podcast from an airplane. It's hard to record a podcast that you're in charge of from an airplane.
With these two. So, yeah. What was the other part of the question? I think we're
do we love making it as much as Comet Quest loves listening to it?
It's like some kind of torture to have to do the show. But no, I love doing it.
It also depends on how much Comet Quest loves listening to it because maybe it's torture for them as well.
That's true. Maybe you guys love it more than we like making it. I mean, I love making it. I don't know about Steve.
I thought you just said you didn't. So you were lying.
He was making a joke.
I was lying. I was a bad boy.
Neck them titties.
I'm so naughty.
It's seriously one of the highlights of we usually record when we're fully in production on the show. We usually record 2 episodes a month, or maybe 3 depending on how many weekends there are in a month. But it's every other week, and it is always one of the highlights of my weekend when we're recording Ensign's Log. I love it. It's a huge amount of fun. So if you like listening to the show at least more than I like making it, then you like the show a lot.
Oh boy, you guys must be in some state of ecstasy. I love of course I love making the show, or I'd stop doing it.
Yeah.
I mostly love it. I don't love the part like right before it where I'm like, okay, what are we doing?
You carry way too much anxiety on your shoulders, Dana.
I do. I'm so anxious, and when I'm less anxious, I give myself more things to be anxious about. That's how bad it is.
Mm-hmm. Your anxious sack has a hole in it, and you keep filling it. And you're like, I don't understand.
Where's all this anxiety going?
Is the bag gonna burst yet? Is it my gut's gonna pop out? Okay, that's what it's supposed to feel like in here.
I know that this doesn't necessarily fix it because you feel what you feel, but Dana, you are so funny on the show. And
I'm glad somebody appreciates it.
And one of my favorite things about doing the show since you became a regular is you have this way of finding the humor in a bit that we're doing that only you would see. Like you come at it from a completely different angle than I would or that Jason would. It's totally.
But
although I will say, I can recommend somebody for that.
For if we want boobs.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I got mine.
Wow.
Steve, did you just ask her for boobs?
No, she said she knew somebody if I wanted boobs.
I know a guy.
See, you started talking, Steve, and I just started reading the
Oh,
stuff.
you zoned out. I
kind of zoned out a bit, but then when I came back, you were begging her for boobs?
I don't understand what's happening. When you hear my voice, you just automatically...
I drift.
Just drift. Like when we're recording late seating.
That's why I listen to a podcast in order for me to fall asleep. I listen to our podcast.
You listen to our podcast like, oh, fast forward to where Steve's talking. There we go.
And he goes on for a while, too.
On the review show, I wait for you to start your
No, keep going. I'm going to listen to this later when I have to go to sleep. Just another broke nerd asks, just curious if Steve has recovered from season 3 of Picard and if Jason has come down from all those member berries. I love the reviews by both of you and look forward to the Strange New Worlds reviews.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I'm fine. It's just a TV show.
Yeah, that's what I mean,
it was fun. I'll probably watch it again right before maybe some of the well, they're not doing it Picard 4, are they?
No, that was it.
I have no reason to return to it, so
no.
I mean, I might watch it if I'm desperate for something.
I got somebody asked, I think on Wednesday or was it Friday when we did or yesterday when we did our Batman live stream day. Somebody asked
that's you guys. You didn't invite me, so it's okay.
Well, I'm sorry. Do you want to come to the next one? We're watching Indiana Jones next month.
What would I know about Batman? Oh, Indiana Jones, I know nothing about that either.
We're watching
Indiana. Then you can watch the movie and learn something about Indiana Jones.
We're watching Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade next month.
As a teacher, I approve of learning things.
But Until Crystal Skull, my least favorite Indiana Jones.
You didn't like Last Crusade?
Not really.
Oh, you're not invited.
Okay, that's fine. I really don't care.
Okay, but anyway.
You liked Temple of Doom better than Last Crusade?
Yes, I did.
Dana, you know that I also like Temple of Doom. I don't like it as much as I like Last Crusade, but I am a defender of Temple of Doom.
Me too.
Yes, but you're wrong.
Okay. Anyway, someone asked me if I had gone back and watched Picard season 3 again after you and I reviewed it, Jason, and I thought that was the most adorable question. I was like,
I knew you weren't going to. So.
Why would I do that? But no, like you said,
it's just hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? You can't say that after me coming on and we're talking, chit-chatting, and you go, well, I watched what's the name of that awful show, that WB show with young. Is it Young Justice?
Oh,
no.
What is it? Titans.
But I only watched it once.
For 2 years.
I did. I watched it too. I watched 2 seasons, but I only watched them once. I didn't go back and rewatch them.
No, you didn't go back and rewatch them, but you still watched them. You saw what you knew. You knew it was bad, and you made yourself watch all of it, and then you watched season 2. And I don't understand that.
I don't either. Don't ask me to explain it. But what you said about Picard, it's just a TV show. Like, there was nothing to recover from. It was a show that Jason liked and I mostly didn't. And when it was over, it was over. And
I'll probably watch it again at some point, but
just made me look forward to Strange New Worlds even more.
I hope it's still good.
Me too. Let me see.
Can't wait for the crossover with
with Lower Decks. Yeah.
With Lower Decks.
All the
I'm wondering how that's going to work.
I just hope that it was written by the Strange New World writers and not the Lower Decks writers.
Okay.
Anyway. Norman Bookwood also asks,
mm-hmm.
How are you going to do overlapping series? TNG and DS9 and later DS9 and Voyager. Multiple time jumps?
We're not. Okay, so we're ending on DS9, guys. DS9 we are ending on. And the other thing is, the decision that I'm weighing right now is whether or not we're going to do 2, like we're doing with TNG, 2 seasons per year. In other words, we did 1 and 2 when we started with TNG. Season 1 and 2 was 1 season for us. 2 and 4 is 1 season for us. And we have discussed how we're going to do the overlap, but what I haven't decided yet is if we are going to stay on the Enterprise till the end. Because in all honesty, I think most of you guys know this, DS9 is my favorite. I like TNG, don't get me wrong. But I kind of am desperate to get these characters to DS9. By the time we're done with DS9, that's 7 years of DS9. That will have been, I don't know how many years of the Ensign's log at that point. 14? 13 years?
And yeah. However many, it's a long.
Let me
put it this guys. I'm turning 54 in a week. By the time, thank you. By the time we're done, I'll be in my 60s, and I probably won't want to talk to Steve anymore.
That's
Dana,
true. Yeah,
but I mean,
Dana and Jason will be best friends. I will be out of the picture.
You're just here because it doesn't pay the bills. Wait, no, that doesn't make sense either.
Oh, it would be nice if it could pay the bills, but I can't imagine going into Voyager. Mainly because I don't know it that well. I was never a fan of Voyager. And I think I watched
what it was like for me.
I think honestly, in all honesty, Tuvix, I don't know what season that was.
That was season 2.
Yeah, that killed my interest in Voyager from that point forward. And so it was kind of like, I don't like these people, and I don't necessarily give a shit if they make it back to the Federation, and I would tune in every once in a while, but it had kind of killed my enthusiasm for the show. And, I did tune in. I do know some of the episodes, but I don't have a knowledge of it like I did TNG, DS9, and especially the original series. So,
yeah.
And I just don't want, I want these guys to eventually have a nice ending and not have 26 years of the show. Because then the next question will be, well, then you can go back to Enterprise. And it's like, yeah, technically we could. We could go back to Enterprise.
We could do whatever we want, but do we want to do that? Yeah, like.
Well, yes, we do. We want to do what we want.
Well, wow. See, that's
that's how that works, Steve.
I will put it to you this way. If I could get more time, I would be producing more shows. There is a Sherlock Holmes show that I want to write and have been trying to write for years now.
Yeah.
That is a podcast where I haven't decided yet whether it's going to be Steve or I are going to be Watson, who is going to be the main character of that Sherlock Holmes show. I think I'm going to force Steve. I think I'm going to force Steve to be Sherlock Holmes.
Oh no, I'm going to have to play Sherlock Holmes, one of my favorite fictional characters.
And Dana will be somebody. I don't know.
Mrs. Hudson.
She'll be Mrs. Hudson. Yeah, that'll work.
And she's
why don't we? You know what? Why don't we title it Mrs. Hudson? And what she has to do when Holmes and Watson are gone. Because, Holmes has a lot of enemies.
Yes, he does.
And they got to be showing up at the house when they're not there, but Mrs. Hudson is. Yet we never hear from any of the enemies ever again. Why don't we make it that Mrs. Hudson is killing those people and burying them in the root cellar?
It's a really full root cellar. She buries them vertically,
Fine, she grinds them into sausage and she feeds them to Holmes and Watson.
That's where I was going. They are here in this pie.
Sure, why not? Let's go. Why don't we follow the whole thing? She's in a relationship with a barber on Fleet Street, and we can just
why not?
We can tie everything together.
Fuck it. Yeah, it'll be like
her daughter was brutalized by somebody, and then she was just like, well, we can get back at him by making him in pie.
It'll be like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, only with just Victorian London based characters
with less cannibalism and butt sex.
A little bit.
Are you talking about the comic, or are you talking
about
the
comic? Yeah. Oh yes, the comic.
Okay.
Yes. Now notably lacking in cannibalism and butt sex was the movie version, I felt.
Well, it was originally in the screenplay for the movie, but it confused Sean Connery so much that they had to remove it.
Connery said, "Am I playing myself in this?"
What do shellfish have to do with it?
I thought I was playing Alan Quatermain.
He's so proud of his Sean Connery. Don't do that to him.
So, some more questions. We got
Is
a couple
there?
of we got a couple of super chats. One is, I'll answer this one quickly because this is just for me. Grant 2053 says, Steve, big fan. Do you think you can make it a recurring series on your channel of the Starfleet JAG officer? Had me wheezing, top tier content. Thank you very much. It will be a recurring series, but it won't be the same character. I'm not going to do the Starfleet JAG officer again because it would just be the same joke, over and over. But there are going to be more videos of that kind.
And he never does that, right, Dana? He never does the same joke.
He
Over and
actually
over
he
again.
very rarely does, because what he'll do is say, if you like
I
that joke
have-
and you want to hear that joke again, just watch the video again. It's recorded. You can just watch the video again.
Documented evidence in late seating he uses the same joke over and over again.
There are certain jokes on late seating that I have driven into the ground.
There are 36 episodes where he uses the joke, and now we have someone to root for. And every time I hear it, I'm like, oh!
Wait, Jason?
Talk up another one!
You're assuming that is a joke. It may be intended to be a joke, but the thing is, an actual joke is funny.
That's possible.
Wow, goddamn. So yeah, more videos of that nature, but not with that character. And Comet Quest with the super chat says, when is season 6 coming?
A couple of weeks, 2 weeks.
A few more weeks.
Let's do 2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks. I've been working a lot. I have not been available to sit down and really get back onto anything that represents a normal schedule. And I'm the executive producer of this crap. So
you're the showrunner.
I mean, I'd be perfectly fine handing it to Steve and saying, just do one without me. But then he'd get lost and he'd call me crying, saying, I don't know how to edit this in.
Sobbing.
How do you do this? And I can't get the volume high enough on Dana, and I can barely hear her.
And she doesn't take direction, and she doesn't listen to anything I say.
Well,
wait a minute. She doesn't listen to anything. No, that's not true. Dana and I actually have a very, very good.
She doesn't listen to anything I say.
That is not true. That is not true. That is not true. I absolutely do listen to everything that you say, Steve. I just then subsequently discount it.
You just do whatever you feel like doing after I say it. Yeah. Because you because you are a teacher. You are not teachable.
I am not a teacher.
You guys see that you're lucky you even get a show, because this is what I have to deal with all the time.
We just give you all this amazing bonus content, and then you just throw it away.
Well, no, they forget, and then they get involved in the characters, hopefully.
Norman Bookwald speculates that evil Jason is Future Guy from Enterprise.
Oh, I can't say anything because it reveals what we're going to do in the next season. I like that.
Somebody's got to be Future Guy, since they completely forgot about it at Enterprise.
Well, the writer said we're all agreeing to just forget.
Well, but because what happened is the writers got together and said, we all agree this is dumb and we just shouldn't have done this, right? Right, let's forget it. And that was the right decision. Because it was dumb and they should never have done it.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Michael Sparks says, why couldn't Dana be Sherlock?
Well, Dana could be. Dana, do you want to be the most boring character in the show? Now that we decided that she is going to be the main character, we're just going to give you the side character that I was originally just going to give to Steve.
Well, I mean, it depends, because Sherlock solves the case, right?
No, if I go forward with this, she would be the person that does cleanup.
Right.
Sherlock leaves a lot of loose threads sometimes. And so he can't have such a charmed, quiet life between cases if there wasn't someone. It's already kind of implied that she does take care of him and the house.
Yeah.
And she's been portrayed as kind of flustered. I would love to think that she does a lot more that he depends on her for a lot more than making sure he has tea and to clean gunpowder off of the, gunpowder residue off of the walls or whatever else when he's trying to do some sort of experiment.
Yeah,
and that
when he's shooting the Queen's initials into the wall.
Because I don't think out of all of the adaptations that I've heard of the Sherlock Holmes stories, none have ever been told from her perspective. She's always pretty much been the same type of character.
Yeah.
And this show it put me into a different way of thinking about her and how much bigger that character could possibly be. I mean, she is basically the housekeeper for the world's greatest detective, and he doesn't seem to give a damn about any of the fallout from any of his cases. He's just not the type. He comes home.
Right. He cares about the puzzle, and once the puzzle is solved,
he whips out the 7% solution, plays the fiddle, and then falls asleep face down on the floor with his pants down.
Until somebody else walks in with another mystery for him to solve.
Another mystery that's interesting.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
When they leave on a case, she lays out the heroin. She sets up some tea in the kitchen so that once they throw his body on the chase lounge, Watson comes in, and then she has to have Watson do his emotional dump of how he's being mistreated. Mrs. Hudson has to counsel him, pay off prostitutes, cover up deaths, save him from time to time from assassins. I think it's a more interesting character. Yeah.
And you're right. As far as I know, it has not been done before. I mean, there is one. It's one of my favorite Sherlock Holmes movies, Without a Clue, where Ben Kingsley plays Watson, and the conceit of that is that Sherlock is just an idiot and Watson is actually the genius detective. So they've done that where it's like actually Watson is the main character instead of Holmes, but I don't think I've ever seen one with Mrs. Hudson. So yeah.
I think that's a more interesting idea.
We're watching Poirot opposite DS9, and another one I don't think anybody has done is with Poirot as the bumbling oaf and Hastings as actually the genius detective.
Well, Poirot hasn't.
For good reason, I think.
Poirot hasn't, at least as far as I can tell, because I'm not as much of a Poirot fan as I am a Holmes fan, but Poirot hasn't been reinterpreted as much as Holmes has. Like Holmes has been not only adapted but reinterpreted like a whole bunch. And Poirot really is. Most of the Poirot adaptations I've seen have been pretty straightforward.
See, Kara says, I thought Sherlock's poison was cocaine. And Kara, I think you're right, but I thought.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's not heroin.
What Jason was saying is that Mrs. Hudson lays out the heroin so that when she is getting the emotional dump from Watson, she has something to keep her mind.
It's for her. Yeah, there you go. She's like, just a moment, Dr. Watson. I'll be with you in a second. Yes. I have also. There's a super chat from Riley Rayburn. Agree or disagree? Superman Returns is better than Superman 78. Jason? As if I don't know what you're going to say.
Disagree. Oh,
yes, I would.
How strongly can I disagree with that statement?
Jason was not a fan of Superman Returns.
No, I was not a fan of Superman Returns. What's wrong?
Dana, do you have a take? Do you have a take on that?
Which one's which?
Christopher Reeve, 1978, Superman.
Is that the first one?
The first Christopher Reeve.
That's the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Superman Returns. Dreary. Child abandoning. Superman.
Which one is it though?
Don't prejudice the judgment.
Horrible liar, Lois Lane.
Superman Returns is the one from
Brandon
like 2000. The Brandon Routh one from like 2006.
The one that's directed and stars a child molester.
Yes, that's true. That as well. Kevin Spacey as Lex, Kate Bosworth as Lois.
She's not the child molester.
No, she's not the child molester, so far as we know.
Well, I mean, I guess I'll have to go with. I mean, because I didn't dislike Superman 78, and I didn't see the other one. So
there you go.
Okay, so there you go. So wait, that's your opinion of Superman 78? You didn't dislike it?
Yeah, I like it.
It's like one of the greatest superhero films ever made.
Steve, We
You
don't
didn't dislike
judge
it.
people on their likes
I'm
and
sorry.
dislikes.
I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
hey, you guys don't. I do.
I know
And
you do. I know you do. But
I'm not as tied to Superman as a character. And I think it's enjoy. I am not as much of a fan of the, bumbling Clark Kent as you are. I like the Superman and Lois is much more along the lines of how I see Clark Kent.
yeah, me too. Me too.
Just
Sure.
because you get almost into like Spider-Man territory otherwise with like,
He's a person.
how does he do it?
In Superman and Lois, he's a person. He's like a person that has the same kind of some of the same kind of concerns that any parent would have. And it's an opportunity to see him most person-like as a dad on that show. So it's kind of like, that's why, and I told Steve this, I think this is becoming my favorite version of Superman. Simply because he's got room to grow and have all of this stuff, whereas he's very limited in the movies and not a piece of shit like in Superman Returns. So
exactly. Like when they said Superman Returns, I'm like, okay, so they're talking about the first one and the second one, right? And I literally didn't realize they were talking about like the newer-ish one.
The reboot / kind of sort of sequel from 2005 or 2006 when it came out. Everybody knows I love Superman Returns, but I don't know. The original Superman with Christopher Reeve it's tough to choose against that one. And I don't know if it's the older I get and the more sentimental I get toward movies that I've loved my entire life, but like that first Christopher Reeve Superman movie is
magical.
I mean, well, it's just like, the thing is, Superman Returns wouldn't exist without it. And Superman Returns does things of its own that I really admire and enjoy, but a lot of it is keyed off of the Christopher Reeve Superman. And I mean, Christopher Reeve as Superman, it's like he just makes it look so easy. Like as both Clark and Superman, like it's like he just showed up to the set like that, and that's just how he was. It's like they actually found Superman and put him in the movie. Like that's how good he is. So I think I would have to go Superman 78 over Superman Returns, but it's a much closer call for me than it is for Jason.
But we're also talking about the movie and not just Superman. And I'm less keen on how Lois Lane's written in that movie. I'm just.
Oh, really? I think Margot Kidder's Lois is terrific.
I think she does. I don't like that first interview. Ugh.
Oh, I love the first interview. Oh. Holy shit. I love the first interview.
She comes up with are I could have done better in junior high school.
Okay, well, if you're judging it that way, but I mean,
yes, I'm judging it. And she is supposed to be this brilliant investigative reporter, and I just don't buy it for that.
What if I was interviewing Superman? I'd want to know if he could tell what color my underwear was.
Yes, I would ask that same question.
I would also ask a leading kind of sexual question. Do you eat?
You know what I'm saying? Because we know Batman does. The only in terms of like the movie itself, not just individual characters or performances, my only major criticism of the first Christopher Reeve Superman is that the prologue on Krypton is just there to give screen time for Marlon Brando, and personally, I could hack that off with a hatchet.
I love the prologue on Krypton. You stop.
I know. We talked about this when we reviewed it.
I think that after that movie, we didn't need it in any other movie. In fact, we never needed to bring up Krypton again. We didn't need to talk about any of it.
I agree. I agree completely. I would die happy if I never saw Krypton ever again in another new Superman
But for the first
adaptation.
on-screen, big screen treatment of Superman, of course you're going to include it. And I know I'm saying it because the aesthetic is very specific and is carried on through the comics and is carried on through the other movies, but also just the music for Krypton is some of my favorite music
Oh, it's a beauty. John
ever
Williams' score
composed.
is
So,
beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
mhm.
Um,
And I don't give a shit about Marlon Brando. So
Paul Sidhu left a super chat that just says Steve is more of a Moriarty. I'm not sure how to take that. Well, I mean, if Moriarty is going to be a regular character, then I guess I'll play Moriarty.
I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to make Moriarty more. He only appears once in the stories.
Maybe he has the hots for Mrs. Hudson. Maybe he keeps showing up, like sniffing around for Mrs. Hudson, and she has to keep.
And Mrs. Hudson has to keep it quiet. So that Sherlock doesn't find out.
Oh, I see. I was going to say that she keeps trying to get rid of him, but maybe they actually have a thing going, and Mrs. Hudson is having to keep it secret from Holmes and Watson.
Whatever is funnier, I'll make that decision.
He's very attentive.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and Dana, you don't have to be as insecure about the Sherlock thing because it's going to be scripted.
Yay!
I know how much you like scripts. And if I can do it, the cast is going to be much larger. So
we won't all be playing multiple characters.
No.
David C. Drake asks, I'm curious to hear Jason's thoughts on Andor, if he's seen it.
I watched
you've seen a little of it.
I keep meaning to go back to watch it. I watched 3 episodes and nearly fell asleep. I was like, there was nothing bringing me back to Andor. I know it was moving very slow. I know a lot of people have said that it really picks up after a few episodes, and I will go back and watch it so that I can, have a better opinion of it. But the episodes that I saw, it was moving very slowly, and I didn't care. I really didn't. I didn't care about anybody yet. I'm having a hard time caring about someone who's dead. And I want, this. We know how he dies. We know what happens to him. I mean, please don't pick dead characters because it's like, okay. I have the same problem with any of the prequel stuff in which we're picking characters that we know lived through it. It was like my big problem with the Solo movie. It's like I know nothing happens to Han Solo or Chewbacca, right? I know they live. I know nothing, that no romance works out between him and what's her face, whatever her name was.
Oh yeah,
character.
His girlfriend. Yeah,
his girlfriend, right?
His girlfriend in Solo. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he hooks up with a woman that's much younger than him in the Star Wars or Empire. So
yeah.
But I'll watch. I do plan on watching the rest of it. I really hope that there is more. What's his nuts in it? Skarsgård.
Oh yeah, because I did watch the whole thing and we've talked about it a little bit. Mm-hmm. He is the only, for me, he's the only really interesting character in it, and every time he is in like a scene and then it cuts to some other boring bullshit, I'm like, why isn't the show about this guy? He's a great actor. The character seems interesting. It's like, why wasn't he Andor? Like
he's not sexy.
But
the guy who plays Andor is sexy.
There are certainly a lot of people who would disagree.
Well, but
I'm sure. I bet there's a lot of people.
What I mean is, it would be the actor Diego Luna, the actor who plays Andor, would be playing him instead of Stellan Skarsgård, who is brilliant. But like, it just in terms of, why wasn't this Andor's story? He's the title character of the show. Why is Andor the guy who spends most of the show just standing around watching other characters do stuff? And there's this guy who's in like every second or third episode and usually only has a few scenes and is just absolutely riveting. And then it's like, anyway, let's check in on the boring horse shit for a minute and come back. It's like, why isn't the show about the most interesting character in it?
Here's what I want. We take that character, the Stellan Skarsgård character,
yeah,
and we give a series to Lars von Trier.
Oh, Lars von Trier does Star Wars, buddy.
with no oversight, right?
Just
whatever he wants to do.
Give him his money, send him off. He comes back a year later with a completed Star Wars show that they have to release.
I hope it opens on an oral sex scene where both the actors are crying. We don't know anything about them.
Oh, I wonder who Willem Dafoe will play.
He's never working again, the fucking Nazi. He's never working again.
Lars von Trier or Willem Dafoe?
Yeah. Well, Lars von Trier.
I didn't hear that about Willem Dafoe. I was like, oh no, not Willem Dafoe.
Here's some. I mean, did he fail basic don't say this in public 101?
Yeah, von Trier. Yeah, it's like, oh, don't. Well, do you remember that press conference? This is like years ago when he said that shit, and Kirsten Dunst was like sitting right next to him.
She's running defense on him as he's just. I feel sympathy for Adolf Hitler.
Yeah,
and she's like, no, he doesn't. No, I think you mean something different, right?
She's sitting there going like this, just like. Anyway, I have another movie coming out.
No, she literally sat up and said, I think what he means is she tried to
like take the microphone away from him and be like, shut up.
They should have beaten him to death with it. I mean, Jesus Christ.
No,
anyway.
no, because it's not good if you get liquid on the mic.
Yeah, that's true. They might make her pay for it. They might make her pay for it.
If I'm beating someone to death with the mic, I'm not thinking about the microphone. So
you have other concerns.
I have other concerns. You can't be delicate with your weapons or you won't use them.
Prague, Kansas says, so evil Jason's consciousness won't be uploaded to an android body. Too bad. I would like to see him and Lore try to pick up cybernetic chicks on Mud's planet.
Oh boy, you guys don't realize that when you guys start doing this, it gives me ideas. My ideas for the season are fluid. And they can change at the drop of a hat. So the ideas you give me for stuff that I could do, we'll see.
Riley Rainburn says, I think Superman Returns has much better pacing than Superman 78, doesn't wait 45 minutes to introduce Luthor and the central conflict, and everything feels more human to me.
Yeah, that's funny, but the movie is called Superman, not, hey, Lex Luthor's in it.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, in defense of Superman, Superman the movie, I really don't think the pacing is a problem. Like as I said already, like I could do without most of the Krypton stuff, but other than that, like when I watch it, it's not like I'm checking my watch waiting for stuff to happen. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Superman showing up in the suit for the first time is timed just about right. Lex showing up is timed. I kind of like that the movie sort of happens in phases, you know, how it goes like from the Krypton phase to the Smallville phase to the you know, Superman phase, and that each one has its own distinctive tone. And, you know, so yeah, I don't think that's too much of a problem for me.
It isn't for me either.
Yeah.
And there's less shivving in Superman.
Significantly
right,
less.
Steve?
Yeah.
Less awful, ugly shivving.
You really
in an
got
audience
upset.
In an audience full of 5-year-olds.
I remember that when we reviewed it, you got really upset at the fact that they beat the shit out of Superman and shiv him with kryptonite and throw him off a cliff.
Buck the whole movie.
You're like, you got so mad.
I did. I got mad because it was out of nowhere. It was ugly. I rewatched that. When I rewatched that, they also tried to drown him.
Yes, they do.
You know, they try to drown him, they beat the shit out of him, and then they shiv him and they kick him into the ocean to drown or bleed to death. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was, and the audience consisted of people my age taking their children to go watch Superman, because in the original Superman, the worst thing that we had to watch was Lois Lane, you know, getting smushed by an earthquake. Not
which was and
Lois Lane being beaten to death by Lex and his henchmen.
I will say this though, when I was little and I didn't like to watch the scene where Lois dies in the earthquake. That really upset me.
You didn't like to watch when Superman gets upset.
No, I didn't. Well, I didn't like to see Lois die, and then of course Superman gets upset, and and Superman cries, and then he turns back time.
Yeah,
because he has this big character moment where like it's the spirit of his Earth father and the spirit of his Kryptonian father, and he turns
duking it out.
And he turns to his Kryptonian father, and he's like, ah, ha, ha! And he turns back time, and he saves.
And what lesson did we learn? That absentee fatherism is a bad thing. Had Jor-El been around, maybe he would have listened to his absent father.
Here's a super chat from Sucked. Thank you, Sucked. Who says, with some information, Von Trier released a new TV show recently on Mubi.
Oh my God.
I
what
bet
is it about?
I've never heard of this. I have no idea. I bet that's a fun watch. Another question from Comet Quest, who says, do you guys plan on adding any more regular characters in season 6?
I don't know that we plan.
Usually,
sometimes characters start recurring.
I don't. So a lot of people think that I have like a major plan. I have ideas to start a season, and then if the story goes in another direction, or I can see it going somewhere different, it usually does. Most seasons do end in a different place than I originally think of them ending. I definitely have plans with all of the main characters for both Steve and for Dana and for the Jason character, but adding a new character, if you mean a new actor, no, but I would be open to adding another actor into the show if they were a regular. And I mean a regular, like
they're on every show. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that may be something for when we move over to DS9.
Mm-hmm. That would make more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because DS9 is more of an ensemble show than TNG. I mean, TNG was pretty ensemble-y too. Like, it seems like for a while there, every subsequent Star Trek show was more of an ensemble show than the last one. Because
what I'm looking forward to with DS9, as far as our storytelling goes, is that it is a space station, which means that we can introduce more characters than just limit ourselves to what's happening in the episode. We're going to try to still tie ourselves to the events and comment on the events of what's happening on the station. Because a lot happens, and there are some definitely set in stone things specifically for Steve that he's agreed to.
That we've talked about, yeah.
I just don't know.
Forward to. Yeah.
I'm waiting for Dana to give me a suggestion of what she would like to do now that she's watched most of DS9. And how she would like her character to progress, because I'm not a dictator. I'm not, No. I let the guys. These are their characters, and they have a say in what happens to them, right? I don't want to do anything that they feel that would be going against their idea of what the characters are, because that's the thing about improv, is that improv, we're making it up as we go along. And what I do is I create a character. I've created this character of Jason, and I try to play him based on how I feel the character would be, and have him say things that I think he would say, and not put him in situations that necessarily would break the character too bad. And when I come up with ideas for the Steve and Dana characters, it's the same thing. I don't want to, I'll say, what do you think of this? And if usually Dana doesn't like it, she'll come up with something different.
The only thing that, as far as our characters and our performances in the show, the only thing that Jason ever does as far as like stepping in and telling us not to do something is when one of us will say something that our character is not supposed to know at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Impossible knowledge, impossible.
Yes.
Or if I get the name of the ship wrong or something like that, it's like, no, this is the planet we're on. We said this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because sometimes I'll forget. I really do. Because we talk about the show and like what happens in the episode and things that we think might be happening in the season coming up so much before we actually record that sometimes when we're doing the show, like I'll forget and say something as Steve in the show that he doesn't actually know. And then Jason has to be like, oh, nope, you don't know that. So then we have to go back and do something else. But other than that, in terms of like creative stuff, we both have, a lot of freedom as far as,
I don't have to worry about saying something that my character wouldn't know. That doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen. But the other great thing is it's baked into your character that you can say wrong things, because that's the nature of your character.
Yep.
Is that you say wrong things.
I just get things wrong. Mm-hmm. That's just we've just been like, okay, we'll just throw that in there.
Ghost Wheel
Someone
says,
asked about Packlids a long time ago.
Oh, that's
and
true.
I've
Yeah,
been waiting for you to ask that question.
I forgot it. I'm sorry. There's been a bunch of other questions.
Go back to the beginning
We
of the question
demand more
stream.
David C. Drake says we demand more Pack-led content.
You're getting it.
Actually, a question.
You are getting it. We kind of tied ourselves.
Yeah,
We tied ourselves to Plobo.
Plobo will be. Yeah.
And I think I wouldn't be as enthusiastic about bringing more Plobo in if Steve's character didn't hate him so much.
It's all about making Steve miserable.
Yeah, it really is. Sometimes it's very much about making Steve miserable. But Plobo is going to be featured heavily in the next season. So he's going to be back. And maybe even more Pack-Leds. And maybe we'll meet a female Pack-Led at some point.
We have talked about that. We have ideas for that. Yes. Which
extensively, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Ghost Wheel asks, baseball game for Steve.
Yes. I don't think so. We haven't established that Steve in the show is a baseball fan.
We know kind of what baseball is.
Yeah, baseball in by the time of Star Trek at the point that we're doing the show now in the 24th century, baseball is no longer widely played, and most people don't really know about it. It's very much like a niche thing. And we've never established that Steve has any particular interest in baseball. So, I mean, if we get that far in the show and we're doing an episode that coincides with that episode of Deep Space Nine, like, I'm sure we'll find some baseball related way to have some fun with it, because Jason and I are actually big baseball fans.
We're huge baseball fans, yeah.
Yeah. But as far as like Steve in the show, I probably not, because we've never established that he's a fan.
And I think DS9 is probably where, if we are going to be doing baseball stuff, Steve is going to hate it. He's going to hate it. He's going to hate everything about it.
That would be more fun. That
would be more fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially because Cisco is Mr. Baseball, and we're going to be living under his rule, or, it's like, and so it's more fun if,
it's more fun to make Steve miserable.
If I hate baseball. Yeah. It is. It's more. It's a lot more fun to play, and it's a lot easier to play. It's so much easier to get laughs when I'm playing a character that is, miserable, or feels unappreciated, or thinks he's smart, but the other characters think he's an idiot. Like, it's why would I want to do it the other way? Like,
what makes Steve miserable on the show, if I was to boil down his character, is that he has a huge ego and a great sense of himself.
Yes.
And he hates anything that contradicts that version of himself. Unfortunately, it's the entire universe that points out that he's not as great as he thinks he is. So that's the part that makes him miserable.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah. Well, it's that he thinks he has incredible confidence in himself, that he is constantly coming up against reasons why he should not have that confidence, but he never actually learns. Like, it's like he gets too big for his britches. He stands up, he fails, but then the next time that happens, it's like he hasn't learned anything. He's still just as full of himself and just as full of bravado. Yeah. Michael Sparks asks,
he might learn.
Huh?
You keep thinking he might learn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're wrong every time.
And, I mean, the thing that's nice is, like, we've seen over the years, we've seen just enough of, because all of our characters have, sort of elevated, heightened aspects to them.
As is what happens in comedy.
Yeah. And with Steve, with Steve, because Steve is such an idiot, and can be so removed from reality. Like, I think it's especially important with him that we see little glimpses that there's a real person in there. Like, that he does genuinely care about Jason. He does genuinely care about Dana. He does want to do the right thing. I mean,
if he can ever figure out what it is.
He's the one of the central three. I think he's the one who is the most willing to do the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. but he does all things being equal, he does want to try to do the right thing. He's not a bad person. He's just a dumbass. You know,
we're gonna see what happens in season 6 now that Jason is dead, because one of the things about their friendship is that Jason has been a somewhat controlling influence over Steve to prevent him from indulging in his worst instincts. Is that the whole dynamic between Steve and Jason was that Steve has an unbreakable optimism and Jason is very much a pessimist. We're lucky that Jason is married. And the only reason he is married is not because he did it, it was because Tina did it. Tina, proposed. And I think, having
she knew it wasn't going to happen otherwise.
No, it's true. But the whole thing is Jason and Steve balance each other out. And when one of us is missing, that means that we've never really experimented with Steve being gone and what would happen to Jason if Steve was gone. We haven't. Did we?
Isn't that where we got evil Jason?
No, that's true. We did find out what happens.
That was the rationale.
That is true. That's where we get. So without Steve, Jason becomes evil Jason. He immediately crashes. Right. He crashes directly into evil.
He has never been without Jason before, though.
Steve and Steve has never been absent from the show. Like we have done stretches, because we did a stretch, leading into the end of season 5, where Jason was.
Where I was kidnapped with with Dana.
Yeah.
And so we still have a lot of stuff that we need to deal with, and Dana has to deal with her past now openly. Steve is going to have to deal with the actual perceived death of his best friend. Right? Yeah. That's something that you're going to have to do, and we're going to need to try to make it funny.
Which I'm looking forward to. I have a couple ideas for it. At least I have ideas for our first show back. I don't know how it's going to go after that. We'll come up with stuff as we go, like we always do. But I have ideas for what Steve is going to be doing when we come back to the characters when we start season 6. But
Okay. Cool.
Michael Sparks asks, which of the trio will be in the Maquis?
Oh Jesus, none of us.
Yeah, I don't think.
There's no way you're going to get. I mean, if there's anything that we've firmly established about my character, is that he is very much a loyalist to the Federation for the most part. Steve, however, it's too much work.
Well, and I was going to say, I think of the three of us, and I think I kind of agree with you. Like, I don't think any of us really would, and I don't think any of us are going to. But
it's
if the question.
Dana.
I don't know enough about the Maquis. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Because no, I think Dana is the closest to doing it, because we saw, especially in season 5, like with the stuff with the cetaceans and stuff, like we saw that she has this sort of radical spark in her. This a little, not a lot, but a little bit of anti-authoritarianism, where it feels like if you just nudge her a little bit.
Dana knew for a fact that whale killed those Irish people. I can't remember the name of the planet. I can't remember what they were called.
The Bringloidy.
But that didn't prevent her from starting a prison riot where the whales and the dolphins were being kept. Right?
They were being mistreated.
There's a streak. I think that one of the things that I would like to explore with the Dana character is that since she has been, she worked for the Orion Syndicate. Yeah. And, that maybe her loyalties aren't with Starfleet necessarily. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Jason can be kind of a bootlick when it comes to Starfleet. And not so much Steve.
No. Although Steve is very proud of being a Starfleet officer. I mean, it's more about his ego than about Starfleet as an institution, but he still there is an attachment there.
I mean, you will step up and defend Starfleet to people.
Yeah.
Right? but I think part of you is doing that because you are part of Starfleet.
Oh,
And so-
And
absolutely.
people think
Yeah.
badly of Starfleet. That means
Mhm.
they're thinking badly of you. Can't have
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ghost Wheel says Steve hooks up with Tina since Jason is dead.
Nah, that'll never
No,
happen.
that's never going to happen.
That's never gonna happen. Tina would have to be broken in order for that to. She
that.
would have to.
Reprogrammed.
Yeah, reprogrammed to fall in love with Steve.
The occasionally
Well,
outright
they
hostility.
weren't talking about love. Let's be clear.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
The occasional outright hostility between Steve and Tina late in season 5 was some of my favorite stuff we've done for a very long time. I just they're because Tina clearly has no patience for Steve, and
Tina don't suffer fools.
Yeah, and Steve, there was a point where it was not the last episode, but no, maybe it was the last episode. But it was when I had to try to remind her about Venus.
The Venus drug.
The Venus drug. And I was trying to remember it, and I couldn't remember it. And Tina kept trying to prompt me, and eventually there was a point where I said to Tina, "Just shut the fuck up."
You said it several times.
I said it a few times, and I think I said it even because Tina got there ahead of me because I said penis, and then she said, "Do you mean Venus?" And she was already there, and I'm still trying to come up with it. Yeah, that was just the fact, the open, like they don't like each other, they don't get along, and in a high stress situation like that, where like all the pretense falls away, and they're just like, they're not like actually fighting, but they're sniping at each other, and there's no politeness between them. Like that's a lot of fun to play.
It's going to be interesting to see where your relationship goes when you both think that Jason is dead.
Yeah.
Because now technically, even though we haven't officially adopted Barash, she has a kid that she's taking care of by herself, and the only person that's left is Steve. I'm not quite sure where we're going to go with that. Dana and I are going to talk about also, what Tina would do.
And don't forget, Steve's girlfriend is expecting too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So
we should call that actress. He
has lots of responsibility to try and escape from.
That's right.
Let me see. So Norman Bookwald says, first, Knit and Crochet Tiger says, when you do DS9, you cannot skip Move Along Home. It would be funny to hear Steve say that Alan Moraine rhyme.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have it that what's happening in the game is going to be expanded to certain portions of the ship. I cannot give away too much, but there are set things that are going to be happening with us on board that ship. Right, Steve?
Wink? Oh, yes, indeed.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, and how we're going to be, I can't say anything, but yes, we are. Don't worry.
There are, And
the dumber and the worse the episode is, the more likely it's going to wind up featured heavily on our show. Because I love taking dopey, dippy crap and kind of expanding it to go, okay, this is pretty stupid. Yeah. Well, what was going on in the rest of the ship? I mean, it can't just be, Quark breaking down, crying, begging not to play, not to make a decision.
Yeah. Norman Booklet says, what are these three doing during civil defense would be interesting too.
Oh, remind me of civil defense.
Civil defense is the one where they accidentally activate the old Cardassian security system that locks everybody in place.
You'll have to find out when we get to that episode.
I'll have to find out when we get to that episode.
Well, Dana, we just watched that one
we just watched it. That locks everyone in place.
Remember, because Gul Dukat beams in because he got the it's the one where it keeps playing the updates that were recorded years ago of Gul Dukat. Attention, Bajaran workers, surrender to your overseer and stuff like that.
In case they ever overran the station.
Yeah.
Yes,
and Dukat,
very vaguely.
And then the real Dukat was nearby in his ship and got the distress call from himself. So he
shows up.
Yeah. But then he gets trapped because it turns out Ducat's boss from back in the day thought that he would try to escape and rig the transporter. So if Ducat tried to leave, he wouldn't be able to leave. So yeah, it's a really good episode.
A lot of those things I'm not going to be able to comment about simply because it's going to be giving up a lot of what's going to be happening in the next 2 years of the show. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then Norman also says, referring to an event that will be coming up in TNG, Steve's mind will be blown that Tasha has a daughter early next season. There must be a reaction to Sela.
Mm-hmm. There has to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't look Romulan to me.
Shut up. Stop it. I don't even know if my character is going to be alive.
You might not even be there yet.
You'll have a character that's alive.
Yeah. Hugh O'Byrne says, "You three, I listened to the finale. How dastardly to make me laugh when I'm crying."
Oh.
No, you're
Thank
crying.
you.
I guess what I mean is your storytelling drew me in. So, well, I'm glad.
Oh,
glad
thank
you.
you.
Like yeah.
Thank you. I was hoping to get at least one person to cry.
That next super chat.
Oh, yes. Plobo saying the Alamarain rhymes. A super chat from Comic Quest.
Alamarain, I lost. What? What's the next one? Do I jump? I'm going to jump.
Alamarain, Plobo, listen.
Alamarain. Okay.
Alamarain, count to
Alamarain, count.
Alamarain, count to 4.
I can't count to 4.
That's gonna be fun.
I thought you were gonna.
Packlet numbers go to 3.
I
thought you were gonna do. I thought you were gonna do Alamarain.
No, we count.
1,
we
2,
count
3,
like this:
4.
1, 2, 3. That one little guy. That's it. But they're not numbers.
That one little guy.
1, 2, 3. Another 1, 2. That's how we count. How am I supposed to count to 4?
What's 4?
What is 4?
What's 4 for?
What's 4?
Steve, you have to teach me my numbers now.
Okay, you ready?
I'm king.
Well, yes, you are. You are the king of the Packlets. How about that?
All right.
1,
1,
2,
2,
3,
3,
4.
I got a nosebleed.
I've counted higher than any Packlet ever.
I want some cake, Steve.
Yeah, Steve, can I have cake?
Plobo loving cake is well, because the thing, I'll tell you what I've liked about Plobo is that because it's your character, you've managed to make him different than Plarb.
Plarb was fun, but he was limited.
Plarb was your original Packlet character from back when we were still in the TOS era, and Plobo is, similar voice, but we've managed to.
You're only getting one Packlet voice out of me. That's all there is to it.
Plobo.
But I think for this season, both of you are going to have to come up with recurring Packlet characters.
Oh no.
Without it sounding like me. You did one. Oh. You did like
I did a couple.
We did an episode where
it was rough because I was like, oh shit, I have to do another one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know where I'd go. I don't want cake. Is there pie? I want pie.
I don't want a cake.
Now remember what we discussed about Packlet females.
That's true.
Well, says I'm a female. Why are you calling me a female?
She could be a Packlet, another Packlet guy. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Or maybe she doesn't know.
She could be gender fluid.
I'm not a female. I'm a Packlet.
Stop trying to put me in a box.
Okay, we talked about this. All right, come on. Next question, Steve.
Michael Sparks comments, Tina's approach of making Plobo eat more cake to shut him up while Steve was still trying to engage with him was hilarious. Yes, it was. Plobo the easily distracted.
I love
have some more cake, Plobo.
I love playing him. I really do.
And Norman Bookwald with a pull from TNG saying Plobo's favorite cake is cellular peptide cake.
I love it. Hey Dana, can you wake up and give me the recipe to this cake we're eating? I want it to include a talking head from the counselor, if that's okay.
I want some
When
dream cake.
I want please give me some more. Can't slice me off a chunk of that dream cake, Dana.
Plobo, that was the dream you had. We didn't have that dream.
Well, didn't you have that dream? It was a good dream.
Sorry, everybody, but we can't get cake because Steve's being an anus.
Give me that word of the day calendar. Give it to me now. Ghost Wheel says you have to have more, otherwise how can Plobo perform his opera?
Oh, geez, I knew as soon as we started talking about Plobo.
Everybody loves Plobo.
Does it involve dead babies?
Jesus Christ.
Plobo's going to sing a dead baby opera?
Mine does.
Well, that's true. You are going to be in a dead baby opera, Dana, for real. Yeah.
Jason thinks I'm lying.
We'll talk about this after the show. You know how I feel about pro-life issues.
The baby was born first. What?
Stop trying to inject your vehement anti-abortion politics into the show.
Besides, it's okay. It wasn't her choice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God. No, it's not about abortion at all. It wasn't. It wasn't consensual in any way.
She's getting weird and gross. Turn off her camera.
Here.
Okay, there you go.
David C. Drake says, David C. Drake quotes the Eurythmics song, "Sweet Dreams Are Made of These," and I can't help but hear that in Plobo's voice.
Oh, my God. Am I going to have to do a Plobo show?
Hi, everybody. It's Plobo.
Hi, everybody. It's Plobo.
Sing for us, Jason.
Sorry I'm late, but I put my pants on over my head. What?
Sing for us.
I don't want to sing right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fine. Sweet dreams are made of this. We're going to get in trouble if I keep singing it. Yay, cake.
That's another thing Plobo did that Plarb never did, was occasionally Plobo would say something smart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to explain to me how replicators work. so Plobo could sing like the first line of the song and then be like, we don't have clearance. I can't sing anymore.
We're going to get sued.
Yes.
It's a copyright issue.
Annie Lennox is a demon in the courtroom. I don't want to have to face her.
You can afford better lawyers than we can.
Although I would pay good money if I could dress up like a Pac-Led and go into a courtroom being sued for the use of a Eurythmics song, just to see what it would look like on the internet.
Oh, God. And that was my favorite Plarb moment, was when Plarb was a witness at our trial.
At our trial, yeah.
And and I said, I was playing one of the attorneys, and I said, will you tell us what happened on the day in question? And you just, no, I said, do you want to tell us what happened? And you just go, no.
Asked and answered.
Oh, boy. Brad Freeman just asks, why? It's a little broad.
The question for the ages, man.
If I knew the answer, I'd be a much happier person.
It's a little broad.
Would you, though? I'm not sure about that, Jason. It might be worse. Just remember, that's my tagline. Can always be worse.
David C. Drake says, episode concept, nothing but dialogue between Plobo and Baby.
Good Christ.
That's what would happen if we had to do an episode and Dana and I were both unavailable and Jason had to do a whole show himself.
Jason goes bananas and just, oh my God.
W. Green says, on a slightly different subject,
mm-hmm.
O'Brien should have been in Picard season 3.
Yes, you should have.
I would like to quote from Brad. Why?
Okay, so for people who don't know, Steve didn't want anybody from any other show to be on the Picard show. Right, Steve?
For the most part, I would say that's true. Yeah.
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 And if O'Brien had showed up, then I probably would have been reviewing the show by myself.
I would have stood up and walked out.
If
No,
one
of
more
course I-
DS9, the only thing I wished happened was that they were trying to beam something or something's in stasis, or hey, why they have something in stasis on the ship, and you know, Archer showed up on the show. Just so that Steve could bleed from his eyes and pass out and roll around screaming no, because he wouldn't be able to handle it.
At that point, at a certain point in the actual show, this happened anyway. It just becomes funny. Like, just how blatant and pandering it is just becomes funny. It's like, oh, they have no shame at all. You know, if the premise is trying to make an actual good TV show, having O'Brien in it makes a little more sense than having, say, Tuvok just show up for no fucking reason. Because at least O'Brien was on TNG at one point. But I mean, you know how I feel. We talked about
That's true.
this.
O'Brien does make a better fit because he was on TNG.
Yeah, and you know, like, to me.
What about Barclay? Well, that's some Barclay love.
Again.
No, apparently not.
Again, Barclay makes more sense than Tuvok. I wouldn't have had Barclay on it either because, like we talked about when we were reviewing it, and like I talk about in a video I'm making for my channel to come out later this week or next week. When the premise of the season is we're getting the band back together and it's all of the core protagonists from TNG, to me, that checks the fan service box. You know, like, that's the fan service. You're getting everybody back together for the first time since Nemesis.
They needed some younger people that could run.
Well, that will
shoot a gun.
No, new characters are fine.
When you get somebody who's new. Like,
yeah, new characters are fine. And I ended up liking most of the new characters. You know, I liked Jack. I liked Vadic.
Look,
I thought they did Vadic wrong. But,
you were fine with 7 of 9. Her talking to Tuvok makes sense.
I'm fine with 7 of 9 because she was already in the Picard show.
Yeah,
like, she's just there because they added her to Picard in season 1. So it is what it is.
Fine that Tuvok was on the show because who else is she going to call? Did you want Janeway to show up?
She doesn't have to call anybody.
She can. Well, they did because they're trying to find out who they can. They're trying to find out who they can trust.
She doesn't have to call anybody. Both of Tuvok's scenes are completely pointless. They accomplish absolutely nothing narratively than just to let us see Tuvok.
They established that she has no one to turn to. There's no one that they can trust. She turned to someone that she knew very well, and he turned out to be a fucking changeling.
We already knew that there were changelings infiltrating Starfleet. We didn't need to hear that again.
Then at the end, he's the one that let her know, stupid, don't quit Starfleet because we think you're neat.
And don't you think there would have been a way to write that scene so it incorporated a character from the actual show instead of another fan service cameo? It could have been Seven talking to Raffi about something. It could have been Seven talking to any of the other characters actually in the show about her promotion, or about maybe Seven had the performance review from Shaw and she hasn't watched it yet because she's nervous and she's thinking about quitting Starfleet, and she's like, what's the point? And then Raffi or somebody else talks her into watching it, and then she watches it. You know, like, it doesn't have to be Tuvok coming back in and being like, hey,
that's
it's me,
boring.
Tuvok again.
We needed to know that he was okay.
No, the new character could have just said, oh, by the way, I talked to Tuvok and he's okay.
By the way, I talked to Tuvok. There's nothing better than talking about things that happen off screen.
Story dialogue. We love that.
We wouldn't have needed to verify that Tuvok was okay if Tuvok had never been in the fucking show in the first place.
That's true, Steve. But when we talk about your dreadfully boring version of the last season of Picard, where people just look out windows and weep and talk about, I don't know, crap. I don't know what your version would
No,
be.
I love. Look, Riker had so many funny lines, and I loved them all. Riker was so good this season, and a lot of it was for laughs. Like he had some really great serious stuff too, but Riker had and Riker and Worf's interplay was terrific, and it was almost always played for a laugh, and I thought it was great.
Hey, surprise! The thing that you're most happy with is Riker.
Space Daddy.
I'm just glad that my space daddy got a chance to, ride off into the sunset.
Yeah. Did he?
Well, they didn't kill him.
They're just gonna, what's gonna happen. They're apparently completely forgot about their other kid, and him and Troy are just gonna go for another fuck weekend on Risa. They're not going to Orlando,
No, they're
Hooray.
going to Risa. Yeah, they're going to Risa where birth control is illegal.
The plot thread where they're not fucking is now complete because they're gonna go off somewhere and go fuck. Okay.
Exactly.
I was happy. I was perfectly fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with Tuvok showing up. I'm perfectly fine for what that implies for the people. You have no one that you can trust or turn to. That was the point of that thing. And then they hadn't come back so that we know he's okay. Because even though Voyager is not my favorite, some people give a shit if Tuvok's okay. Right? It's not all about you, Steve.
It's the TNG reunion show. It's not, hey, let's catch up with all your favorite characters from every fucking show you ever watched.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we should just start bringing in all the characters from TNG just for them to die horribly, like they did with Ro.
Yeah. No. I said I joked about it a few times. I said, because people sometimes ask me, like, if the Blue Fairy came down and granted your wish and you were allowed to make a Star Trek show, what show would you do? And I after Picard season 3, I said, well, I guess I should make a show where all the legacy characters die, because that's the only way that they'll actually move forward, is if I just canonically kill off everybody.
Wow, there you go.
If you just wait a few more years, the actors will be gone.
Let nature take its course. Yeah.
Look at Steve.
And also make sure that you support the Writers Guild so they won't use AI to replace them.
Look at Steve thinking like a DC Comics executive.
Kill them all.
Start over.
Kill everybody. Comic Quest has a question. Who voices all the extra characters in the show, such as Baby and Spot?
Oh, that's me.
Baby and Spot or Jason? Jason does most of the extra voices. Dana and I do extra characters here and there, but we are not as versatile as Jason.
Who are the extra voices that you have done? Name them so that they know.
Well, I did the Orion Syndicate guy who was in a couple episodes this year. The guy who talked like this. It's me, the Orion Syndicate guy. Hello.
And you've done you were Kevin.
I was Kevin Uxbridge, because I do a good John Anderson. Hey, bud, it's me.
Who's Dana's boyfriend?
That's me.
Yeah, you're Royce.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Jason and I do the Romulan couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do the Romulan couple. I'm
Metal and
mm-hmm.
Who's the other guy?
I don't remember.
Metal and Nevok. That's it. Nevok or Nevor.
I don't think that's it either. But yeah, we do the Romulan couple.
Those guys. You do Harry Mudd.
I do Harry Mudd. Who else? Have we done?
Of course, Dana does Tina as well as Dana.
So while I did Baby, Steve did Armus.
Yes, I did Armus.
Even though in our canon, Baby and Armus are the same.
Yeah.
Thank God Armus wasn't the lead villain in Picard season 3. Who else have we done?
And I remember we did one of the bits we did earlier in season 5, I think, was when Steve and Plobo were on their way to Rigel And I was the guy who kept answering the call from Plobo, because Plobo kept hailing the planet and being like, "Hi, we're coming," and I had to be the guy who kept like fielding the call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one of us will do one of the.
If the situation is one
and
of us,
we've had patrons who donate at the $10 level if they want to be on the show. We will actually
that
script.
Answers, that
what?
Matthew Datcher asked what happened to guest voices.
Guest voices are coming back. All you need to do is let me know.
Got to pony up that money. You gotta make
let them know and
pay up.
They're already at that level. I'm not
cash on the barrelhead.
Because we're worth it.
But yeah, I'll fill in for a lot of the voices, I think. Not because I'm any better at it. It's just the way. Stop it, Dana. Stop. We gotta think about Steve's feelings.
I'm just saying than me. Like, I have to write down like this person has this.
You were the Orion information broker. You were.
That's true, and you were great.
Yeah. Remember the one that tries to seduce both Jason and Steve because she's got hormones that can pheromones.
We ain't doing that character again because I have no clue what it is. I would have to. You'd have to say, okay, this character's coming back.
And Dana took over as Steve's mom.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, you did. I do seduce Steve's mom, and then you do Steve's mom. Boy, this sounds wrong. You did the voice.
Everybody
for
does Steve's mom.
We know that.
Hey, Steve, I did your mom on the show.
Steve's like, yeah, get in line.
I'd say that if I thought you cared about that kind of crap, but you don't.
Oh, you would only say it if you thought it would hurt my feelings.
No, I know it wouldn't hurt your feelings. That's
where the laughs come from.
If only you calls him genuine pain.
Hey, Steve, I'm your stepdad now. What do you think about that? Your mom's going to be on every show of the Ensign's log from here. Your real mom.
Your real mom's going to do it. That would be a nightmare.
Your fake mom.
That would be a nightmare. If you said, oh, by the way, your actual mom is going to be on the show every week now. I'd be like, oh.
And we're doing it. And she makes me call. Never mind.
No, please say it.
That's a level of. And she calls me by your name while we're doing it.
Wow, that's
I have to wear one of your old Hagerstown Suns caps.
Wow.
And I wear a diaper. And I have to say this. Mommy, my diaper. Okay, see, I don't want to do this anymore. It's creeping me out.
Yep.
Oh, that's hilarious. Comet Quest, it's the Let Me Listen podcast Patreon.
She locks me in your old crib.
Wow. That she still has for some reason. I saved your crib. I still have it. I guess because of the voice you did, Ghost Wheel says Plobo is your stepdad?
Hi, I'm your new stepdad.
Another one.
I've done some research in stepdads on Earth, and I have to throw these beer cans at you now.
Now, hey, that should have been a Data episode as like a quasi sequel to his girlfriend episode.
Wait, what?
Because, Data, they had the episode in theory where Data has a girlfriend and he never had a girlfriend before. So he does research into like the proper role that he should play in this relationship. So they should have done an episode where Data becomes somebody's stepdad and he does the same thing and he accidentally reads up on abusive stepdad tropes and he becomes an abusive
There you
stepdad.
go. That's perfect.
Yeah.
How about for that? How about for one of those kids that kid that attached himself to him after his parents died? That would be hilarious. Both of his parents, his mom is dead and he's attached himself and he's imitating. He's got a wife beater on.
Oh my God.
He's chasing him around the ship with like
Michael
some sort
Dorn's
of barbecue tool.
Now that they have to put makeup on your arms and chest as well, how much you like that?
It's If TNG was Deep Space Nine and that kid had become a recurring character, we could have done that.
We could have. Oh well, there's still plenty of time for us to fuck up Barrage, so we'll see.
maybe he's becoming a teenager. He goes through a rebellious phase.
Maybe.
Knit and Crochet Tiger says, I totally hated the Borg in the last 2 episodes. Speaking of Picard season 3, the other 8, Vadic and the Changelings, then poof, Borg. And what happened to Borgerati? Why didn't she appear to help them? I fail to see how that would have improved the show, quite honestly.
Well, she'd show up and go, let's be friends. And then she would use her tentacles and take her over. Who cares?
Yeah.
I didn't like the Borg crap either. I mean, I still enjoyed the show, but it felt very weak to turn to that.
The thing that I didn't like about it was, even though they never completely got me on board with the fact that there were changelings in the show, by the time we got to like episode 8, I mean, I liked Vadic as a character, regardless of the changeling connection. I thought that she as a character was a good villain. And then they kill her off. And it's like, oh, what are they going to do for the last 2 episodes? Oh, it's Borg. And it's just like, oh, you had a good villain that you killed off. So you could just do the Borg again. Oh,
replace it with something worse.
Yeah. It was disappointing, and it made the first 8 episodes feel like it was just killing time.
Besides which, we already saw it, and no one's ever going to top Rise of Skywalker.
And then the Borg Queen returned.
Yeah, and she was like not complete, and she's got bones showing. It's like, Jesus, guys. Seriously?
Yeah. She's extra super scary.
Although I would love to watch a romantic comedy about, decrepit, partially formed the Emperor and decrepit, partially formed Borg Queen.
Yeah. Make it a rom-com.
Trying to find love in a universe that despises them. Yeah.
They're like buying coffee at a little locally owned coffee shop, and the Borg Queen turns around and accidentally spills her coffee on the Emperor.
Each of them blames the other.
Yeah.
I wish my genitals would grow back so we could have a complete relationship.
Don't you care about anything other than sex? Is that all I am to you?
For the most part, yes. We're both evil.
For the most part, yes.
If I have to... You're not exactly a stunning conversationalist, and you have ribs instead of boobs. So I have standards. A man needs to be aroused. Not that I have anything to be aroused with.
Well, I mean, he had kids at some point.
Don't remind me. Jesus Christ.
I mean, wouldn't have been my choice if I was.
I know you like that movie, so we don't need.
Oh, Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I don't think it's as bad as I look at it. Kind of the same way I look at Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I don't think it's good. Like, it's not anything I would recommend to people as a good movie. But when I saw it, I didn't think it was like an abomination. I didn't think it was like the worst thing ever. I mean, Rise of Skywalker was a big disappointment after Last Jedi, because I thought Last Jedi was fantastic. And not only was Rise of Skywalker not as good of a movie, but it also like kind of tried to undo a lot of stuff from Last Jedi. And I was like, oh, don't do that. But I didn't think it was like awful. I just thought it was, oh, okay, it's, a huge step down after the last one. So
there was a lot I liked about it, but yeah, I liked the idea that it wasn't all connected to the bloodlines.
Yeah.
And then Last Jedi was, that went
like,
right
whoops,
back around.
Never mind.
Yeah, Rise of Skywalker was like, never mind. Yeah.
Erase.
I've said this before. That's what I liked about that, was that anyone could have the Force.
Yep.
That anyone could do it.
And
that
then,
Rey wasn't related to anybody or anything like that. It wasn't in her bloodline. And that last final shot of that poor kid cleaning up the stables was great. And then the next one, they said, never mind, it's all about bloodlines. Forget it.
Yeah.
We changed our mind again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Knit and Crochet Tiger says, my point was the first 8 episodes had no clue that it was the Borg behind it all, just poof. The thing I thought about that was, because like with Jack, and you got that, like, oh, something's up with Jack for and that was like a tease for those first 8 episodes. And they never dropped any specific hints that it's the Borg, but it was something's up with Jack. There's a reveal coming about Jack. And they played that out until episode 9. And then, like, for that one plot line, they made the mistake that the show made in seasons 1 and 2, which is they dragged things out so long, and then they finally got to the reveal, and the reveal was underwhelming. It was like, oh, you made me wait till episode 9 for that. For most of the rest of season 3, they didn't fall into that trap. They built things up and paid them off along the way, and it was a lot easier to take than seasons 1 and 2. But for the Jack thing, they fell into the same trap where they teased it out until episode 9. And then when they paid it off, it was like, the Borg, seriously? Like, that's what we've been waiting for? So that was my issue with that. Not so much that, because they teased that something was coming. So it wasn't completely out of nowhere, but it just felt like, oh God, not this again, Norman Bookwell says, no more mystery boxes in Star Trek.
Sure.
How about no more mystery boxes and stuff, period, for a while?
That's
I feel like that form of storytelling has worn out its welcome, not just in Star Trek, and all kinds of stuff. Seal 0626 says the use of the First Contact theme in the credits was a pretty obvious clue. I don't know. I thought that was just pandering fan service.
More
pandering fans. That's what I mean, yes, looking back in hindsight, you can say like, oh, it was the First Contact music. But like, to me, when I just thought like, oh, they're doing what they've been doing all along and just desperately trying to get me to remember better stuff. Random topic question from Comment Quest. Have either of you ever played or gotten into the Star Trek Online game?
I love that question so much.
I played a little bit of it. I played a little bit of it, but I didn't get too far into it. There's some fun stuff. There's some fun stuff in there. I can already answer you. Steve hasn't.
I have never played it or even thought about playing it. I have played the Star Trek Timelines mobile game, although I haven't played it for a few years, but I did play it for a little while. But no, the last Star Trek game or games that I got into on any kind of serious level was like back when I was like a kid, and there was Star Trek 25th Anniversary and Star Trek Judgment Rights, which were games for PC, back in like 91, 92, 93, something like that. I got into those and played those. But like, it's funny, like I think last year I got the they released a game called Star Trek Bridge Crew, where you could, like, it was originally supposed to be for like VR game systems, but then they released a version that you could play 2-dimensionally. And so I got that on Steam, and I think I played it for 5 minutes and I returned it. I was like, nope, not my thing. Like, because like it sounded interesting at first, because it was like, oh, you get to play as a member of the bridge crew, and you can, you're like, you're carrying out a mission, and you're like taking one particular station on the bridge, and you're doing your job like you're actually a member of the crew. And I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. I played it for 5 minutes and I was like, no, never mind. So not really, not much of a gamer, not much of a gamer, not my thing.
Well, Dana and I are playing Star Trek Adventures tabletop.
Absolutely.
RPG, yeah.
Well, I hope you have fun with that.
You don't want to create a character
about it amongst yourselves.
You don't want to make a character and tell stories with us.
Yeah. You don't want to roll one up and figure out your stats.
I don't do drugs.
Fuck you. Oh well.
You're missing out, Steve.
For those who wanted to know, when Steve killed the Q, forcing him to play an RPG was simply mean, just on my part. Forcing Steve to be in a role-playing game.
But that was such a fun episode to do.
See, maybe you would
See?
like role-playing games.
No, it was a fun episode to do because it gave me a reason to make fun of role-playing games and talk about why I think they're stupid. Because
What
if
if
you
I
notice, it's one of the few times, because usually in the show we don't do this. Usually my personal opinions and Steve the characters are not exactly the same. But for that episode, Steve the character,
you got to have all your
this,
rants and just have it be in character.
All his like reaction to all the RPG stuff was exactly what I actually think.
I know.
So
I know it was.
Yeah. So that was fun. But
we're gonna do a fundraiser for charity where all of us play an RPG of Star Trek.
Are we?
Yes,
now?
we are. And you're forbidden to say anything bad.
I was going to say,
you have to stay in character.
This had better be one hell of a good charity.
We'll make your character for you. You won't have to do it.
I can't think of a single charity that exists that I care enough about to do that.
We'll find it.
We'll find it. Start looking.
It might be the charity to raise funds to heal your broken legs.
The GoFundMe for Steve's medical bills. Trust me, he's going to need it.
As some of you know, Steve got repeatedly hit by a truck for some reason, and we're raising funds so that we can get him out of the hospital. Isn't that right, Steve?
Yes. Oh. Jason has contacts.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if you can hit a nat 20 on this next roll, Steve. Oh, tears are coming out of the cast over his face.
Knit and Crochet Tiger says, "Oh, so you guys ripped off that episode of Lower Decks when they were playing the RPG sold by Quark Enterprises and used Gowron's likeness." No.
In order for us to rip it off, one of us would have to be watching Lower Decks.
Also, ours was funny.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say ours was first.
I don't know if ours was first or not, but I
don't know. It might have been first.
I can't remember, honestly. But no, ours was... that's the way you can tell our show is different from Lower Decks, is that our show is funny.
Oh, God.
Come on. Are we done? Is that all the questions?
Does anybody in the chat have any final questions?
Or did we miss a question? Or did Steve miss a question?
Wow. Seal0626 was dropping some examples of Knit and Crochet Tiger mentioned it too, and we talked about this in our review of episode 1 of season 3 of Picard, all of the Wrath of Khan stuff. And like Seal0626 mentioned Dr. Crusher wearing Carol Marcus's jacket. And also Jack being introduced in exactly the same way that they introduced David Marcus, which we both called out when we watched it. And we were like, oh, this is going to be Picard's son, because they're doing the exact same thing with him that they did with David in Star Trek 2.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember I was not impressed with the first episode.
First episode was one of the worst episodes of a Star Trek show I've ever seen.
Woo!
Wow.
It was. I mean, yeah. It's
that's a lot of episodes, y'all.
That is.
Because there's nothing to it. It's just reference. Like there's no, it's awful.
Just go on fan lore for that.
Yeah. Like I can read fucking Memory Alpha. Like I don't need you to make a TV show out of it.
Which he doesn't do, by the way, because he doesn't care about canon.
I do sometimes if I need to refresh my memory about something. If I'm writing like one of my videos and it's about an episode that I haven't watched for a while, but I think I remember it enough, like that I don't need to go back and watch the whole thing. Sometimes I'll look it up on Memory Alpha just to fact check certain things. So I look at Memory Alpha more often than you might think.
He cares about canon on our show. He makes sure that his voices are consistent.
Because he knows exactly how I'm going to get if he doesn't care about canon on that show.
See, here's the thing. I don't necessarily... I mean, I do. But when we're doing our show is our show, and I want our show to make sense. Like within what we've established for our show. So,
Sure.
I mean, you can call that canon if you want. I just call it consistency in the way we do our show.
Mhm.
And it's not that I'm completely against violating that consistency if you have a good enough reason, but
Okay.
but all things being equal, if you don't need to or you don't have a good reason to, I think it's better for things to be consistent because then,
Sure.
Yeah.
That's why for season 6, your character is now going to be a 12-year-old girl.
Okay, I can play that
Do it.
right now.
Yes.
Something TikTok.
Not a modern 12-year-old girl.
A 24th century 12-year-old
Yeah,
girl.
come on, Wesley that shit up. Come on, let's hear it.
Something subspace TikTok.
Oh my god.
Uh,
Something
it's all the same shit.
subspace TikTok.
It's all the same shit. They just do it on subspace.
Is it cruel to make you play a child if you're not a child? And you don't like children. So
No,
it's not like you have too much of a frame of reference when it comes to you playing one.
I know for me it doesn't matter. To me it matters more about if I think I have a handle on the individual. Like if they're a child or not, like it doesn't really matter to me. If you said, "Hey Steve, you're going to be Barash from now on." Like if I could figure out who he was, and for our show especially, like what's funny about him, then I would be all for it. I don't care whether he's a child or not. I mean, it's just I need to know who he is as a person,
Sure.
So, Heavy D says, "Are there any aliens from Trek that we have only seen one or two times that you guys would like to see developed more, e.g., the Voth or the Shellyak?"
Did we expound upon one that I don't think we even saw?
I know
we did. Okay, here's one that we did do one on, and this goes way back. I think this is season 1 or 2. We did the lizard guys, the
Gorn.
The Gorn.
Yeah.
Because technically we only had then again, I don't know how much Gorn crap was in in Enterprise.
I think there was only one Gorn appearance in Enterprise.
Was there only one Gorn appearance?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we only saw Gorn babies in
Strange New Worlds.
In Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
So as far as a talking Gorn, we expanded the Gorn with that one episode that we did. The Shellyak, don't know. The one that I would like to be able to do, I think, would to get a helmet off of one of the Breen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we've seen them, but we really still don't know anything about them. Right? What we know is they come from a temperate climate. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has really decided what they look like. At all.
No, I don't think we've ever actually, in any of the shows, we've never actually seen one of them. So they could look like anything. Yeah. No, I mean, for the purposes of our show, I can't really think of one that hasn't, been explored that I would want to do. But like, I just think of things like, especially the older aliens from TOS that have sort of more essentialized characteristics. Like sometimes that's fun to play against. Like if you have the Tellarites, the warthog people, and they're supposed to be argumentative. And so that's fun because you can go in one of two directions with that. You can either really lean into that and make him like a super argumentative jerk, or you can make your Tellarite the guy who doesn't like to argue. And he doesn't understand why everybody's so aggressive with him.
I played a Tellarite. You killed the Tellarite.
That's right.
So I think the character that I'm looking forward to exploring as we get to DS9 is Morn.
Yeah.
Because we really don't know a whole lot about him. He never gets a chance to speak. There's jokes about him being over talkative. These quote unquote inside jokes because they're never going to write any dialogue for him. I intend on making him a more fully developed character on our show. than he was on DS9, where he was for the most part just the butt of conversation. I think people had noticed that he always seemed to be. He was like the norm at
yeah, of course,
Work's place. Yeah. So we'll look into that.
Comet Quest asks, would you guys ever consider advertising for the Ensign's log?
If I had the money, sure. But that advertising.
Like,
putting advertising on the show?
On our show.
I've kind of stayed away from that crap. Mainly because I don't like it when I listen to a podcast. If it could mean bringing in more of an income, that would be great. But ads are, I don't know. Steve can talk more about this in regards to my personality and my relationship with advertising.
Yes.
Anything. I'm not going to rule it out altogether if an opportunity presented itself and it was a product that I actually liked or gave a shit about. Too bad Eagle Moss isn't making no more models no more. They crammed all of those into Picard season 3.
The producers of Picard bought out the stock, apparently. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if we were doing Star Trek and it was something that was Star Trek related, like Star Trek related, then yeah, I might consider it. But I'm not going to break the show open so that me and Steve can try desperately to sell you fucking underwear or fan boxes or whatever else is.
Or like health drinks or boner pills or something.
There you go. Boner pills or plates or whatever else is popular right now as far as being sold. I don't like feeling like a huckster.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Harry Behemoth asks, why is Steve so filled with hatred and vitriol?
I don't know. I wish I did know. I think it's a combination of things. Steve thought the world worked a particular way, and when he found out it doesn't, it's filled him with hatred. I think that works, right, Steve? The great disillusionment when Steve went from being a right-wing Rush Limbaugh fan to whatever he is now, that must have been a turbulent, ugly period in his life. I don't even want to know what it was like to know him as he transitioned from one to the other. Dana knew him when he did that. Right, Dana?
Were you still in your Rush Limbaugh phase?
No, not by the time we met. I was like passed through that. Yeah.
I don't remember that so much.
I thought you met each other when you were like 12.
No,
Okay.
I think Dana was 19 and I was 17, I think.
Okay.
I was in college and you were not.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. I was not in college at age 17. I was not. And I was prodigy.
A grown-ass man living in.
Hey, I was a grown-ass woman.
Out there, you were a grown-ass man out there working for a living, bird dogging chicks.
Yeah. Dana and I could go out in public and no one would have a problem with it because we're close enough in age, and she was legally. I couldn't take her to a bar or anything like that, but
sure you could.
Well, I mean, I could sneak you in.
No, I just show the fake ID.
Oh, good God.
Remember, I was in college.
What a delinquent.
What? That's what you do in college. You get a fake ID and you go into bars, right?
That's a social thing. Steve barely understands what it is.
Those are the true life lessons.
I think after I turned 21, I went to like 2 bars, and that was about it. I was like, this is good. I don't need this.
I mean, honestly, like, drinking at bars is it's so overpriced. But live music. And if you go on like Wednesdays, no cover if you're female. So you go there, you listen to the band, you don't drink, and it's free. Ta-da!
Ta-da! Michael Sparks asks, and this is an important practical question, what are some of the podcast catchers where one could listen to the Ensign's log?
All of them. I don't know how many. Jeez, I don't know how many there are.
I don't know. I know if I don't listen to it directly from SoundCloud, it is on Google Podcasts. I listen to it on Google Podcasts.
It's on Google. It's on Pod. I'm sure there's something else that had Pod in it. 1 second.
Just look for Pod. It's probably there.
I just look at it. I get from SoundCloud.
Let's see. Yeah, SoundCloud is one of them. You can go to our website on Wix. You can listen there. It's on Player. It's on Podcast Addict, Podbean, TuneIn. What else? I mean, you can listen to the episodes through Facebook if you went to our Facebook page. Every time I look it up, there's always more of these things carrying it.
Mhm.
Apparently, there's something called Odyssey. Get it? Odyssey, AUD. Get it?
Noise.
Stitcher. Yeah. Stitcher, Listener Logs, Deezer, The Trek. Oh, that's new. Oh, shit. Where's that? Oh, that's actually an article about us. Oh, I haven't done this in a long time.
No
Yeah.
shit.
Oh, there's a few articles about the Ensign Slog.
People like our
some
show.
of them are pretty old. I mean, we've been doing it now for God knows how long.
You don't?
Hmm?
I don't.
No,
I don't know.
No, God knows. God knows. God is a big fan of
you
our
can.
show.
I don't have an all-in TV tropes. Okay, great. I don't know. We're not TV. We're a podcast. Stop it.
Why aren't we on podcast tropes?
I don't know. We believe.
Why haven't we won a streamy yet?
If you're in Germany, we're on Deutsche Podcasts. We're not.
That sounds cool.
But I know.
That sounds cool.
Okay, but we're all over.
Yeah.
Good luck finding us in Apple.
Hopefully, the fact that we're available everywhere else is enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Podchaser. Oh, anyway.
Yeah. Harry Behemoth says, Steve, what do you store in the cavity where your sense of joy used to be?
He doesn't actually. What happened is that when it withered, it shriveled up and stood in on itself.
It's like when you take
there's no room to store anything there.
Yeah, there's not like a cavity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you take the testicles and leave the sack is quite shriveled and empty.
Yeah. And then you can keep stuff in it. It's like a coin purse.
Yes, Steve. Yes.
You just have to make sure it doesn't get too dried out because then, the coins will just drop through. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to moisturize.
Mm-hmm.
Very important. Stay hydrated.
Hydrate,
Steve.
Hydrate. Yes, as
you are often told.
As I am often told by one of my patrons, hydrate. And then who knows where it goes from there. So if nobody else has any final questions, we can start drawing the proceedings to a close. What do you say, Jason and Dana?
Dana's been yawning this whole time.
No, I squeaked.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think Dana's going to fall asleep if we don't.
I don't know
Dana is a sleepy grandma, and she's got to get to bed by at least, I don't know what time it is there. What time is it? 6?
It's almost 7. It's almost 7.
It's almost 7.
Dana
she's begging us.
Dana's super busy. Dana did like 5 things today.
5 whole things?
I mean, that took some time to do. Not like,
Steve, Steve, both Dana and I are very busy a lot of the time by comparison. when we call you, you go, yeah, I did a thing, and then I climbed a tree, and then I looked at a dog, and then I did a video.
Not climbed a tree in a long time.
I should go climb a tree. I should go climb a tree. It's been a while since I climbed one.
Well, it has been nice. Winter. It's been winter, and you can't
really
climb
a tree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've been going for walks and stuff, but I haven't been climbing trees. So
that's great.
Yeah, aren't you happy for me?
Knit and Crochet Tiger asks Dana and Jason, when and what can we do to make Steve's joy grow 3 times?
To make Steve's joy grow?
Well, because
like
the shriveling of the thing. Man, that's a tough one.
What makes Steve happy?
This I gotta hear.
Baseball.
That's true.
Steve likes baseball.
I do.
Steve doesn't. He does enjoy baseball. I think if his local team had a winning
wait, now what
season.
can we do?
Oh yeah, that's something we would have to do.
So
Play catch and let me watch.
Wait, what?
no, but Steve, here's the thing. Steve also likes wrestling.
I do like wrestling.
There we go. Hey,
but
then we can
baseball is unionized and
That's
wrestling
true.
is not. So we could advocate, encourage the wrestlers to form a union. And if that happened, and the WWE started treating its workers well because they got a fair contract, I think that would make Steve happy.
So you're basically saying there's no hope that I'll ever be happy.
No. I said if that happened, you would be happy, wouldn't you?
Oh yes, I'd be very happy.
See, there you go.
This is too complicated. Simple things.
Tiger.
Go
for it.
Simple things make Steve happy. We just send him like a master cut of children falling down.
Oh yeah.
That's it. He will laugh himself sick. And anytime he feels bad, he can turn it on. People who know me know that there's nothing that I enjoy more when I am out in public than hearing a kid fucking melting down over nothing in public. Children having a tantrum is not something that bothers me. I think it's the funniest shit I have ever seen in my life.
I'll tell you something. I
love Disney World. Like if you see kids being happy, it's like, oh, that's so cute. And you see kids just throwing a fit. It's like, oh, they're not mine.
I'll give you another one.
I saw a 3-year-old weeping at Disneyland because they were forcing that child to wait for a parade that usually comes later in the day. They'll send it down Main Street and do a little turnaround and send it back up again. This kid did not want to be there, and they tried to cheer it up with an ice cream cone from the ice cream place that's on Main Street. That kid grabbed the ice cream by the ice cream and threw it directly into his mom's purse and then screamed. And I was like, that is the most awesome tantrum I have ever seen.
Wow.
Because now she's trying to save the contents of her purse while trying desperately not to actually hit her child at Disneyland. Anyway, what were you going to say, Steve?
There's another thing that even more than like videos of kids falling down. Videos of adults being mauled by animals.
Yes.
That always makes me happy because I always assume that whatever
the animal's right,
whatever the person did to piss off that animal, they have it coming.
That you can't always. Animals are pricks too, Steve. They can do things just to do them.
I'm sure there are exceptions, but 9 times out of 10, I'll tell you one of my favorite videos. There's a video it's probably 20 years old, if not more by this point, because I saw it before YouTube was a thing, before things went viral on the internet. It was one of those shocking footage specials that they used to have on Fox all the time. And, animals attack. And it was video taken by a couple of hunters. So already I'm not on their side. And one of the hunters had sprayed himself with doe scent to attract a deer. So
Please tell me what you're about to tell me happened.
I don't think it's quite where you think I'm going. But what
I wanted to go a very particular place.
I know, but I don't think it's going in that particular place. But to me, it's just as good, if not better. So a deer shows up, and it's like a huge fucking buck. I mean, and he shows up thinking that he's going to find a doe. Instead, he finds this dipshit hunter. So the buck in the video, rears up on his back legs, pushes the hunter down on the ground, and then just starts stomping him in the nuts with one of his front legs. Just wham, 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 over and over again.
Specifically in the nuts.
Specifically in the nuts. And the best part is his friend is videotaping the whole thing, is not helping him at all.
Yeah, he's probably laughing.
Yeah, as I am when I watch it, because I think, good, you fucker. Fuck you. I
Hey.
hope that deer fucking kills you.
Hey, Philip
so-
Kehoe, you're more right than you know. If you ever listen to our late
yeah.
seating program, we make so much fun. We make so many jokes about Grizzly Man.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So yes, Steve laughs himself sick watching that, and also Blackfish.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Blackfish. Yeah. Great documentary.
Jesus. No,
Great
it's a great
documentary.
documentary. Mm-hmm.
Laugh a minute. Just a riot.
Hey, how about he saw it? So Prague, Kansas. How about people attacked by coked up bears? I want to see it. I haven't seen it yet. Steve has seen it.
Yeah, we talked about that in the uncut stuff for the most recent late seating. Yeah. I thought Cocaine Bear was terrific. I liked it a lot.
Me too.
Yeah,
I want to see it. I really do.
Yeah,
and we want more. We want more animals on drugs killing people.
Absolutely,
movie.
More. I want Meth Tiger.
That biggie though. They don't have to be on drugs.
Hmm.
The animals don't have to be on drugs.
No, they don't have to be. They want to be.
They want to
That's
be.
the difference.
They get to be. I know Cocaine Bear wants to be on drugs. Maybe she didn't at first, but after she got that first snort, Cocaine Bear wanted to be on drugs.
Some good stuff.
He's like, oh shit, yes. All right, shall we wrap it up?
Call it an afternoon.
Call it an afternoon or an evening for Dana and me.
Whatever time zone you might be in.
So, season 6 coming up soon in the next few
weeks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks so much for listening to the show.
Yeah.
We
love
cool
you.
Yeah, we do. Because, I don't know. Jason and I would probably do it even if nobody was listening, as long as we always enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice that people listen.
It is nice that people listen. I like that.
Yeah.
I like it when they complain about your character.
And leave comments.
Dana likes comments.
I know she does.
If anybody who is an Ensign's Log listener, if you ever want to make Dana happy specifically, leave a comment on the episode because Dana loves comments.
Thank you, Comic Quest.
Thank you, Comic Quest. Yes. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening to the show, and we'll see you later. And we'll
see you in a couple of weeks.
See you in a couple of weeks on the next season of the Ensign's Log.
Mm-hmm.
Bye, everybody.